Let's talk about what is non-duality. We hear about that all the time, especially lately in the last couple of years. The term non-duality is used a lot. The term non-duality. Just look it up. And even my work and what I'm doing is falling into that description. Okay, shut up. Don't have to shut up. It's okay. But the best way, not the best way, but the way we're going to right now talk about non-duality is to talk about what duality is, right? So, duality is very, very obvious. Duality is good, bad, fat, thin, asleep, awake, spiritual, not spiritual, Republican, Democrat, foreigner, native, successful, failure. This is duality, right? Duality is what the illusion is based on. The illusion. When I say the illusion, I'm talking about the dream state that the egoic mind holds as real. So, in your life, you have been trained, you have been conditioned, you have been trained, conditioned, habituated into pass, fail, success, failure, fat, thin, woman, man, girl, boy, awake, asleep. You have been habituated in the dream into duality, right? And in fact, the individual that you are is duality. Because the individual that you are, you're not really that, but the individual that you are is based on a story compared to not a story. For example, someone is born in Kenya. They have 3 children. They are a male. They are born into a lot of money. And then they have this, and they have this, and they have this. All of that is the story that is sometimes hard for me to speak on it, actually. That is concretized over and over and over. So this boy that's born in Kenya, that was born into money, whatever happens to be, that is the individual. The individual. Everyone that's watching us right now has a story that you have been born into and you bought into, and then that's what you believe that you are, right? The individual is based on duality. And the illusion is consistently and always going to support you staying in duality. Now, duality is something that is a trap. It's a trap. So, for example, and you'll know this to be true. You're taught over and over. You have to get an A. You have to go to a certain school. You have to be successful. You have to be whatever, especially in Western cultures. You have to do all these different things. And if you don't get A's and you don't go to a certain school and you don't take care of yourself, opposed to not taking care of yourself, if you don't then on some level, you're a what? Failure. Wah, 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 wah. Right? So duality is always going to be habituating, I'm going to use that word, habituating over and over and over that unless you're on this side of the aisle, then you're not worthy. Then there's something wrong with you. You don't deserve to be happy. You have not worked hard enough. That's right. Lazy hard worker. That's another duality. They're all over the place. They're all over the place. So you have to understand, you don't have to do anything. I'm just presenting it to you, that you have the opportunity to understand that duality is suffering. When we live in duality, we suffer. Because even if you're on the right side, then that right side is heir to fucking up and being on the bad side, right? So no matter what side you're on, if you're on the failure or the success side, no matter which side you're on, you will suffer, because you're going to end up always, did I say always? Always trying to change the self, trying to fix the self, trying to change the world, trying to fix the world, because you believe that you are part of a problem. And the problem is you have to get over there instead of being here, right? So if you make a lot of money, let's just say this. If you make a lot of money you're very successful in the world's terms, whatever, then there's going to be a pressure on you to remember the people that aren't successful, right? You have to give back. I want to say very clearly, there's nothing wrong with any of this, and there's nothing right with any of this. So I use this all the time. Lily Tomlin said this best when she said, it doesn't matter if you win the rat race because you're still a rat. That means you could do everything right, be successful, get the money, be spiritually enlightened, but you're still in the realm of the egoic mind that's trying to get somewhere, trying to be something, trying to control yourself, the world, or others, right? Okay, this is when you're going to take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. So, I'm a facilitator of conversation, so I'd like to see or hear what is coming up for you right now about duality. What are you thinking about it? What's coming up for you? I will look in the chat. And then after this chat, we'll talk about what non-duality is. What's coming up for people? And welcome to everyone that's new. Kyrie says, either way, you really don't succeed. There is no succeeding. There is no succeeding. Hello, Girl Rush. Girl Rush says, happy versus sad. Oh, that's a big one. You're supposed to be happy. You're supposed to be happy. You should be happy. Sad. No sad. No sad. No sad. No sad. You have to be happy. Hi, Carol. Carol says, not good enough keeps coming to mind. Yeah, not good enough. Oh, that's a big one. Not big. That's a big one. What comes up a lot with people? The whole thing of I'm not deserving. The deservability thing. You're not good enough. You're not good enough. And you're not bad enough. Sue says, it feels like there are sides to take on issues such as discrimination and rights of others. It feels like a right and a wrong. So how do we take a stand in a non-duality way? Okay, that's a great question, Sue. Thank you. First of all, the world that you're living in, that we're living in, is based on non-duality. It's based on duality. It's based in duality. And that is the game. That's the game, right? So the game is that you're on one side or the other. Like I said, you're either for discrimination or you're against discrimination. You're either a racist or you're not a racist. You're either so just, first of all, I want you to notice that. Just notice that. Because that's really important. Just be like, this is all based on duality. All based on duality. So it does seem it's a real sense, lived sense, right? I'm not here to say that that's not happening. It's definitely happening in the illusion. It's happening. That's for sure. There's no doubt about it. Now, How do we take a stand in a non-dual way? Non-duality would never take a stand, because taking a stand immediately implies that there's what's opposite? Laying down. Taking a stand, lay down, or fall. Stand, fall, stand, fall. So that implies that there is one way or the other, the right way or the wrong way. So the basis of what you're talking about, Sue, is based in duality. Do you understand? What I'm pointing to here, I cannot teach you. I can help to point you to. And so it is not that, how do I say this? It's not that in the illusion, in the game, you don't have an opinion. Your character can have an opinion, that's for sure. And it's not real, but it is real. Because remember, it's not real, is real. Is real, that's interesting. Is real or not real, false or true. Nothing is false or true. Remember, nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So where's the thinking? What are you doing with that? Right? So non-duality would say to that comment that there is no right or wrong. That's the answer to that. So let's talk about non-duality. So non-duality states that there's only one. What does that mean, there's only one? From A Course in Miracles point of view, because you know I'm a teacher of A Course in Miracles and student of Course in Miracles, is that it's the separation. All great spirit, a lot, not all. A lot of spiritual traditions are based on the separation, i.e. the separation from God, source, love. Now, in the Course in Miracles, it would say that the at-one-ment, which is called the atonement, the at-one-ment, to accept the at-one-ment for yourself, the atonement for yourself, is when you wake up from the dream. You wake up from the dream when you realize that there is no separation between you and God, you and love, you and life itself. Because as soon as you have a separate duality, a separate individuation, then you're suffering. Then you're in duality. A Course in Miracles, I'm just speaking of A Course in Miracles because that's what I teach, that's what I've done, all of that stuff, is that it's attempting to help you to heal the perceived separation between you and God, source, love, whatever we want to call it, doesn't matter. It's beyond what can be taught. It is beyond what can be taught, right? So non-duality is the state at which you are right now. Well, not you, because you're a character that is what you think is a character, is heir to wrong, right? 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 Mm-hmm. So there's no waking up from the dream because you're already awake. There's no being right because there is no wrong. There's no being wrong because there is no right. Take a deep breath. You're already awake, but you're not already asleep. You're not asleep and you're not awake. Everything is exactly what it is oneness. That's the term that we're talking about. Non-duality, opposite of duality, is unity, oneness, accepting everything as it is instead of it has to be better or it has to be worse. I was talking with my students this morning and bringing up the fact of how in the dream state, it is all about control. I have to control my future. I have to control what other people do. I have to control my journey. I have to control. Even if you're not thinking that, it is based on that. It is based on that. Everything is based on control. In the dream. In non-duality, there is no control because there is no chaos. The opposite of control, I guess, would be chaos. That's what I'm saying. So there's no chaos and there's no control. There is just what is. There is just what is. Take a deep breath. So there is no non-duality. Because if there was non-duality, there'd have to be duality. Do you get it? Okay. Let's take a moment. What's coming up for anybody? Put in the chat questions or comments. And if you'd like to make a donation, I appreciate donations. Or you don't have to. Duality. Sue says, then why advocate for rights for others at all? Does that mean discrimination does not exist in the non-dual world? It exists. It exists in duality. I don't know. You can do whatever you want to. You don't have to advocate. You can advocate. You don't have to advocate. Doesn't matter. Is non-duality like having spiritual awakening? No, there's no spiritual awakening. But at the same time, there is a shift that can take place in the illusion when you begin to see the game that I'm pointing to. Doesn't it make sense, Kyrie? Would non-duality acknowledge truth versus illusion? No, it wouldn't. One of the things that's the hard part about teaching this or sharing this is that words are dualistic. Words are dualistic. There's no way to explain actually what I'm talking about. These are all just, there's a resonance with it, and you're either feeling it or maybe you're not. It doesn't matter. Right? So non-duality is not acknowledged truth versus illusion at all. But in the dream state, especially from my point of view, because I'm a teacher and because this is what I kind of do, is that I've got to find ways to be able to speak about this that, well, I don't have to do anything. I just get turned on by this because I think it's, well, I don't think. I know that for this character, it's changed everything. And I see how with people that I've worked with, it does start to change everything. And the result of the resonance with what I'm talking about tends to me, a sense of freedom. Tends to be a sense of, whoa, okay. It's a free space. So there's a resonance with what we're talking about, or you're like, that guy's fucking out of his mind. And I may be out of my mind, and that's okay too. If someone tells you they're going to teach you how to be non-dual, don't go there. Because no one can teach you how to be non-dual. We can start to look at the edges of it, right? Look at the edges of it, but there's no way to teach you about it because it is what you already are. There's no way to teach what you are. I can't teach you to have a hand when you have a hand. You got a hand, right? Hilda, hello. Does non-duality deal with apathy? That's very interesting because a lot of times people will, it all depends, first of all. People will sometimes say, oh, you're promoting nihilism, which is kind of apathy. Nihilism is that nothing means anything, and that's the truth. But nihilism tends to be on the complete negative side. That's not what non-duality is, because it would be, that's negative, right? It wouldn't be positive. Nihilism tends to be something that is, from the dualistic point of view, would be, oh, it's so negative, it's so bad, whatever. That nihilism is, but non-duality is not. There's beauty in non-duality. There is pain, but it is exactly what it is. There's no opposite to it. It is exactly what's happening. If anybody has ever seen or read or knows the play Waiting for Godot by Jean Genet, it's one of the perfect examples of non-duality. And you might watch that or know that and go, what the fuck is this talking about? Because you can't explain it. Right? So Hilda, apathy tends to be the opposite of action. So apathy is taking no action. Right? So it's the opposite. So it doesn't mean no action happens. It means everything happens exactly the way it is. There's no story around it. There's no control around it. There's no like, oh, I shouldn't be apathetic because that's a bad thing. That is duality. All right? But that's a great question, Hilda. Thank you. What else? Anyone else have anything? And as I said before, there's a resonance with this or there's not. And that's okay. Doesn't matter. And I know that's what I just said is duality. But there's no explaining this really. There's a resonance. A lot of times this will fall into people's laps after they've done work, or they go, oh my God, I think that's the little thing that's always been in the back of my head that oh my God, I think I'm getting that. You could be like, I don't know how to, this could be happening to you as you are watching this. You could be going, I have no idea how to operate. Well, first of all, you wouldn't. How to operate without duality, because I'm always going for something or I'm always running away from something. That's duality, right? I wouldn't know, and that's okay. It is exactly what it is. That's what seems to be happening there, right? Tiffany says, why do I feel urged to watch Alice in Wonderland? That's exactly right. Mm-hmm. It is in a lot of literature and stories and films point to what we're talking about, right? Down the rabbit hole, falling down the rabbit hole. So when she falls asleep, she's really waking up. She's seeing how everything's backwards.